Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I hope you've all been well. I have been very busy this time of year, so I haven't been able to get a whole lot of videos done. But now as we are coming to the very last week of our 6-week homeschool break, I thought that I would share with you what we're going to be doing as we enter our next phase of seasonal homeschooling. If you've been to my channel before, you will know, at least if you've seen the videos, that this year our family decided to take a seasonal approach to homeschooling, which means that we took 3 different homeschooling methods and we are going to be using those different methods depending on what time of year it is. So for when it was warmer out and we started our homeschool year, we did an almost unschooling approach. Then as fall set in up until we started our Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's break, we were doing a foundational homeschooling. And now that we are coming off of that break, we are going to be doing more of a unit study approach for my younger children and more of a Charlotte Mason approach. So if you don't really understand what almost unschooling is or what I mean by foundational homeschooling, I will link all of those videos in the description box. But basically, almost unschooling was just that we really took advantage of the warm weather. We were outside on trails a lot. We just did a lot of natural learning and not a whole lot of sit down structured learning. For the foundational learning, we focused mainly on the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And now as we start out with our unit studies and the Charlotte Mason approach for the younger children, we're going to be focusing more on history and science. And I like to do this after we come back from our break because we're all still kind of feeling bleh after everything that goes on during that break. We're tired, and a lot of times I know the children don't really feel like coming back and doing their schoolwork again. And I don't always feel like it too. So the unit studies for the younger kids, they offer a lot more hands-on activities and not so much workbook writing as what my kids were doing during the foundational homeschool time that we were doing. So anyway, let me just get started on showing you what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start out learning about the American Revolution. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I am pretty skeptical about the history that we have been told. I kind of look at it as 2 truths and a lie, or maybe two lies and a truth. I think that there is some truth mixed in with what we're told about history, but I also think that some of it has been maybe outright fabricated, or maybe sometimes just embellished a bit, so to speak. But I do think that it's important that my children do know the history that other people around them also know, because you don't want your children to look ignorant. So with that being said, I always tell my kids to just to take the history that we're being taught with a grain of salt. We don't really have any way of verifying that this is the absolute truth, and so that's the approach that I've been taking. So now for my younger kids, they're going to be using the American Revolution unit in CONUS curriculum. Now I will show you. The one that we're using is volume 2, and that looks like this now because I've used it so much. This is what the actual cover of CONUS looks like, but this is volume 3. The one that I'm using right now has a green cover, but at least you have an idea of what it does look like. And so what a unit study is it's just a way that you approach a topic, and you come at that topic and hit all of the different subject areas so that you do not have to teach those things separately. So for example, if you're learning about the American Revolution, you can have your children do copy work of famous quotes. You could have them write a report on, say, Benjamin Franklin. You could have them read a biography. That would count as both reading and it would count as history. And so, of course, you can see where history would come in with American Revolution. And then even with science, you could learn, just about the different weaponry that they had and how it worked during that time. Sometimes you can even learn about how they made their tools. That would definitely come in as science. Art, well, you can work art into anything, especially if you have artsy kids. But so that's what I really like about unit studies, is that they do integrate all of the subject areas. So you don't need to worry about having all of these separate subjects and all of these different textbooks to teach those things. Another nice thing about unit studies is that they are multi-level. So the CONUS curriculum was created to be taught to children from kindergarten to 8th grade. So you can teach children together who are not the same age. Now, of course, for younger children, you might have to simplify things a bit. And for older children, sometimes you might have to make things a little bit more difficult for them. But it does make family learning a whole lot easier. So for our unit study, what we usually do is I will just have them do 2 unit study activities each day. I'm trying to find specifically where the American Revolution one is, but I'll just show you here. It doesn't really matter. It'll show you in this right here. I hope you can see this because my light is not good. They will list different activities that you can do, and then it tells you on the side what subject areas they cover. So that is what I do. I just go through the topic, and I will find 2 activities that I think my children would want to do for the day, and that's what they do. Now, if the activities that we are doing also cover language arts or math for that day, then we will not use our math curriculum that day or our language arts curriculum, because I don't want to be redundant. If they're already covering language arts and if they are doing math in their unit study, then I don't believe that it's necessary that they go back and do them again in something else. However, if they're doing 2 activities that maybe both of them cover only history, or maybe one covers history and one covers science, then yes, then my children will also do their separate math curriculum, which is still ctcmath.com, and they will do an exercise in their language arts workbook. They're also going to be using Liberty Kids on YouTube. We're going to be watching those videos as well, and I'll probably work in some read alouds, maybe Johnny Tremaine. My older kids really enjoyed that when we did that a few years ago. Excuse me. We're also going to be using this just from time to time, A Child's First Book of American History. And again, I should add with a grain of salt, but we're going to be using that as well to kind of give a background for some of the things that they're going to be learning about in their unit study. So that's what my children up to 8th grade will be doing. Now, I actually gave my high schoolers a choice of what they want, of how they wanted to approach the American Revolution, because yes, they are also doing it. I asked them if they wanted to just do the unit study with us, because you can, even though it says up to 8th grade, I have used CONUS with my high schoolers before. And sometimes, again, it just means that you make things a little bit more difficult for them, maybe add a few things. But I asked them, do you just want to do American Revolution with us? And they chose to just, they like to be independent and work on their own. So that's what they're going to be doing. So what they are going to be doing is the politically incorrect guide to the American Revolution. And what I think they're going to be doing is, this could always change because, you know, things change all the time in a homeschool. They're going to read a chapter twice a week. And when they read the chapter, there are little sidebars where it tells you interesting facts. So I already told my children that, or my teenagers. So see here, it says fun fact. Again, because of the light, I don't know if you can see that it says that. But there are fun facts. I want them to keep a copybook of the fun facts that are in this book here. So they're going to be reading this and probably get some notebooking in there as well, some discussion time. I'm also hoping to be reading this on my own so that I can have discussions with them about what they read that day. And also, you know, I like to read, so that will be fun for me. Now, since I'm only having them do it twice a week, just because I do want this time period, this phase of our seasonal homeschool to also include science. Now, with the unit studies with my younger kids, it's easier to work science into that because it is a unit study. So it naturally integrates science into the topic. However, since they are doing more of a Charlotte Mason approach with this book, I'm also going to try to get some science in too. But in this case, it's going to be maybe what you could call biblical science, creationist science. And yeah, it is going to get some biblical history in as well. And this is through the Pre-Flood book by Trey Smith. And I did go over these books in another video. I paged through because they're fascinating. So in here, they just talk about some of the evolution hoaxes that my kids will be learning about. They talk a lot about geology in this. So even though they're going to be learning a lot about the pre-flood history, there's so much science mixed in with this. And I love Trey Smith's approach to it because he looks at it as a whole. He doesn't just take what is acceptable in the Christian community. He looks at it for what it is, and he includes everything. And that is really what I try to do with my children. I try to include everything, and I don't want to look at things from church tradition. I want to look at things as they are written, or as they are I just want the truth. And I want my children to be able to seek the truth themselves and to discover things, and to know that, especially in this day and age, it is okay if your point of view does not mesh with what most other people believe, because I think that most of us see that a lot of what other people believe just isn't true anyway, and we're being fed a lot of lies. And yeah, critical thinking is something that's very important in this day and age to teach your children, and homeschooling is a perfect place for that. That's all that I almost forgot. They are also going to be using the YouTube channel Oversimplified. My high schoolers will be using Oversimplified to be watching some videos about the history as they cover it. It was recommended to us by my daughter's boyfriend. He can't say enough good things about it, so I'm hoping that my kids like it as well. But anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one either here or over on Instagram. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.